Hi! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea. Today I'm going to be doing my July 2023 reading wrap-up. I'm very excited to do this. However, compared to my last month of reading, I'm nowhere near as many books read. I think I read 8 books this month, or I read 9 books this month and finished 8 books. I did DNF a book this month. I usually don't DNF books. However, I'm trying to learn that it is okay to DNF a book if you really are hating it, because I have a lot of books that I have suffered through and just read it just to complete it and have it be complete on my shelf, but I hated the book and I never think about those books. So I'm trying to get it through my brain that it is okay to DNF books. This month I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books. More than I thought, and I finished 11 of them, and we're gonna talk about them. Like last month, I did read a lot of these books on my Kindle, so I don't have a physical copy for most of these. The first book that I started this month off with was a thriller, and it was Never Lie by Freida McFadden. I gave this book a 5 stars. It is about these 2 married people. They're looking at a house, and the house is of this famous like psychologist. You basically follow their journey of finding this room that has like the tapes from her old therapy sessions. I genuinely was surprised reading this. I didn't guess any of the plot points. I had such a great time reading it. I read it in one sitting. I loved Freida McFadden's writing and the way that she, I don't know, just wrote the characters, wrote the storyline. I feel like for most thrillers, they're just copy and paste, and it's why I have a hard time liking thrillers, rating them high and recommending them, but I loved this book so much. It was so good. Please check it out. It's on Kindle Unlimited. Like I said, most of these books are. If you need a good thriller to read, I would definitely recommend this one. And then the next book that I read was Indigo Ridge, which is part of the Eden series. I read this because I was still kind of in my small town romance cowboy era. However, this one has a big subplot of a mystery. It starts off with our female main character having a one-night stand, and it ends up being with a very important person in this small town who she cannot avoid. It turns out a dead body is found on his ranch, and you follow her investigating what's actually going on, as well as kind of like a romance story. I will say I hated the main male character, the love interest. At first I found his character kind of annoying, but I thought the story was pretty good. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Looking back on it, I would maybe give it a 4 out of 5. I haven't really thought much of the story since finishing it, but it was a pretty decent read, especially, again, not trying to promote Kindle Unlimited super heavy, but if you have Kindle Unlimited, I definitely would read these books and try them out. It was one of the books that I saw circulating on TikTok and on BookTube so much that I wanted to try it out for myself, and I am glad that I tried it out. This is the book that makes me kind of sad. This is the one that I DNF'd. It is The Last Daughter by Alexis L. Menard. DNF'd it at 61% through. The thing with this book is it's a fantasy, and it is Norse mythology meets Vikings. The cover of this book is stunning. I thought I was going to like it. I have been kind of struggling coming in and out of book slumps, and I could not understand what was going on, nor could I really tell characters apart from each other in the way of I just could not follow the story. I just posted a reading vlog of another book that's in this video, and I couldn't tell certain characters apart, but I could follow the story. I just couldn't follow the story in this one, and I just didn't care for the story, so I did DNF it. I don't know if I'll ever go back and try and finish this book. I think I'm in a fantasy slump right now, which is really funny because I like to say that I'm the biggest fantasy reader, and I am. I just brought all of my physical books to the new apartment that I'm in right now, and most of my books are fantasy books, but right now I do think I'm in my contemporary romance and thriller era. And then I read another book that was very popular this past month. I feel like talking about these first books feels like I read these years ago, because genuinely the second part of this month I've not read anything, but I read A Flicker in the Dark by Stacy Willingham. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. Looking back on it, I'd probably just give it a 4 out of 5. It is about a daughter of a serial killer, and he is away in prison. Murders start occurring that were like how her father killed people, and you follow kind of her figuring out what's going on and solving, did the right person actually go to jail? Is her dad the person who actually did it? I, again, thought this was a fresh story for a thriller. I've not really read a book like this. I really liked the author's writing style, and I also really liked that if I were to reread it, it's very obvious who the murderer is, but reading it the first time I wasn't able to guess that that's who it was. So yeah, I really would recommend this one. This is probably one of my new favorite thrillers. Speaking speaking of thrillers, if any of you have read, who is it? Riley Sager. I had to look at my bookshelf. If any of you have read the new Riley Sager book, please let me know in the comments if it is good. I'm really tempted to go buy it and read it. I'm kind of on a book buying ban, but it's not because I have a large physical TBR. It's just because I'm trying to save money right now. And I do have quite a few books that I have physical copies of that I can just read instead. But I might break it to buy that book. So if you've read it, let me know what you think of it. Thank you. And then I finished the last 2 books of the Mindfuck series. I don't know if I wrote these in order. I'm looking at my little book journal that I write all my notes on. Paint It All Red and All the Lies. Also, this is the month that I realized that St. Abby is just stabby. I gave both of those books a 3 out of 5. Overall, I'd probably give the series a 3 out of 5. I think last month I was rating it a 4 out of 5. It's not really memorable to me. I do think the storyline is cool, and I, for some reason, have never really read like a story in the aspects of like the FBI is a big part of the story, so I did have a lot of fun with that. The overall plot line is really fun. I'm sure you've heard of it. It is basically a serial killer falls in love with an FBI agent. She doesn't know that he is assigned to her case, and obviously he doesn't know that she is the serial killer. The last book is where it's really, really good, but the last 2 books are where the story gets really interesting. And then we get to my favorite books of the month. I cannot explain how much I love these books. So I read the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. It is a 4-book series, and it is basically about F1 racing. Here's the thing though. I was very nervous reading these books because I read the first 2 books of the Dreamland Billionaire series, and I didn't think they were great. I didn't necessarily hate them, but I didn't love the characters. I don't know if because I read it in an era of my reading journey where I was not big into romance, if that's why that I felt that way. But I have tried reading the first book, which is Throttled, before for the Dirty Air series, and I did not like his character. His character was just very cocky, and I've said it once, I'll say it again. Writing and dialogue in romance books can be very cringy because like no one speaks like that in real life, which I totally get is like why it's like that way, because that's why you're reading fiction, is it's not going to happen in real life that way. However, this is the month that I really found my love for F1 racing. It is my new favorite thing. I literally was just watching the Belgium qualifying races this morning. Tomorrow's the sprints, and the Grand Prix is Sunday morning. And the thing is like reading these books and the last 2 books. Okay, I'm getting on like a tangent about F1 racing. I'm so all over the place. Let me just go in order of the books and then I'll talk about each book. Throttled, I gave a 3 out of 5. Collided, I gave a 3 out of 5. So Throttled's the first one, Collided's the second one. Wrecked is the 3rd book. I give that a 5 out of 5. And Redeemed is a 5 out of 5. And that is the 4th book. Throttled is about Noah, and Noah and Santiago are basically rivals, kind of, but they're on the same team now, and their team is Bandini. I pictured Bandini, I believe that's the team, like forgetting now that I'm talking about it, but I pictured their team as Ferrari. Love. Could I tell you what Collided is about? No, because I didn't really like care about the characters. Those 2 books are basically the same book, if I'm being honest. However, so Wrecked is about Jax. I pictured Lewis Hamilton. Yup. Jax is basically, oh, my camera's dying. No. Jax is this just perfect character. He deals with a lot of mental health issues because of stuff that's going on in his personal life. He has to have a PR, basically babysitter, and they fall in love, and I loved their story so much. Reading that book, I did not think the series could get any better than it did, but it did. The last book of the series is about Santiago, and something happens in the first bit of the book that just makes you like, it just catches you so off guard. Reading that book, I was picturing Carlos Sainz, and I had the best time. Jax and Santiago are my 2 favorite book boyfriends by far. If you're gonna read any book out of this reading wrap up, please read those 2 books. I love them so much. I will say, if you don't like F1 racing, if you have no interest and like learning about any of that stuff in like a fictional sense, you might not like this series. I know Sarah Caroli, I believe, read Throttled this month, and she did say that she didn't like it because it does talk a lot about racing. Like I said, I've been really into racing right now, so I loved reading about it. I really badly want to get the last 2 books on physical copies so I can reread them. I think about those characters every single day. I have 2 more books. These last 2 books I read on physical copies. So I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I rated this a 4 out of 5. Nora is a publisher, or she's an agent, and Charlie is an editor. So it's all about books. She goes to a small town on a vacation, and it's as close enemies to lovers as you can get in like a contemporary romance. So I had a lot of fun with this book. Nora is a tall girl, and it talks about like being a tall woman and falling in love in this book, which I really liked because I feel like I never read quotes about that. I had a fun time with this book. And then I also read, my camera is freaking me out because it's about to die. I also read The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I'm not gonna talk about anything of what I rated it or what I thought about it. You will have to watch my reading vlog, which was my last video. I'll have it linked down below. That was my July reading wrap up. Again, let me know what you thought about the Riley Sager book if you've read it, and also if there are any other books that you would recommend. If any books are like Dirty Air, please recommend them. I need more F1 love stories. That was it for this video. I hope you liked it. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!